the Boundary2Boundary Podcast, Ep.5 today with myself, Dave and Buzz. We are delighted to be joined by our first guest of the podcast, which Karanjit Bansal from KSB Cricket Coaching. Welcome, mate. Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome indeed. Welcome indeed.
I want to start off by saying a massive thank you to Karanjit because he supported us so much when we went live. So when Buzz and I were rambling on for hours and hours on end about just pure waffle, when Buzz was saying that he's obsessed with Paul Collingwood and he's the greatest England player ever.
I stand by that comment, by the way. I stand by that comment.
Karanjit was there the whole time supporting us. So thank you very much for that, mate. You were one of the people that gave us the motivation to start a podcast. So I must thank you.
You know, during like these times, it's been good to have something else to do, something different to do. I mean, if we were coaching, we wouldn't have time for this. But now that we have, it's been good to get it, and we can actually continue it while we're coaching. It gives a bit of motivation, and it helps just converse a little bit with other coaches, which I think has been good. Just talk cricket. I mean, I could talk cricket all day, all night.
That's so great.
The thing, I think this is the one thing that everyone's starting to realise. Everyone is a badger. You know, like I made the comment the other day, like if you take off a cricketer shirt, there's a white stripe down their back because everyone really is. You're not in cricket because I quite like. You either love it, or you don't talk about it. Cricket.
Yeah. This is what we said, wasn't it? When we spoke about like this, why these grade cricketer pages and stuff like that on Twitter are so spot on because every person that plays cricket can't have the same ideas really. Like there is no casual cricket player. You're so invested in the game. Yeah. Some people that would sit through 5 days of cricket. Well, you've got to be to sit through 5 days. Maybe. But anyway, Buzz and I have a habit of going off topic, so we'll keep to the.
No, I've noticed it's good. I actually enjoy it. I think it works better that way. You don't want to stay on topic all the time. You want to move on.
Absolutely. But if you guys don't know, obviously, if you're coming straight in from YouTube, Buzz and I run cricket academies for ourselves, and so does Karanjit, who's KSB Cricket Coaching. How did that come about, mate? Really, how did it start?
Wow, I've always wanted to be a professional cricketer myself. So from the age of about 14 through to I'd say 23, 24. It was always a dream to play professional cricket. I was coaching a little bit in the background, doing some stuff with Lincolnshire Cricket, doing the odd one-to-one here and there. But the main goal was to play professional cricket. I got to about 24 and realised, it's probably not going to happen. As much as you still want to try, you've got to be realistic and you've got to try and.
Well, I'm 29. I'm still fighting for it. You know.
Well, I'm blaming COVID-19 that I'm not making it as a professional cricketer now. This was my year.
Yeah, I was robbed. I can't. When we're in our 40s, like, why didn't you make it, COVID-19? I felt so good in that winter.
It come at the complete wrong time. I was bowling quick.
Yeah, but since I turned 24, it was just sort of, you know what, I'm gonna start my own business sort of thing. And I only really set it up properly when I turned 27. I was still doing like one-to-ones here and there, but I turned 27. I thought, right, I'm gonna make this my full-time job, effectively, or try to. And just since then, I thought, you know what, I'll make it my full-time job, make it into a business, give back as much as I can. I've been seeing so many coaches, seen some really good ones, seen some not so good ones, and it's just sort of finding that middle ground. And my coaching is completely different. I would say it's completely different because I do dive into technique, but it's more about looking after the player as a person. If you've got the player, a good person behind that player, the skill levels goes up like that. And if you look after their well-being and they feel good within themselves, automatically skills start rising. So for me, it's more about looking at the outlook of the whole person, and then sort of building around that. But yeah, like I said, I'm really enjoying it. Running an academy for the last 2 years, like an indoor stuff. It's really difficult around this area. There's not many sort of indoor centres. You've got to rely on schools. It can be quite tricky. They can be quite expensive. So doing one-to-ones during the winter is literally, I've got no chance at the minute around here. But in the summer,
you know, is the end goal to have your own centre, your own place? Or?
Yeah, that's I think that's everyone's dream, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Even as a player, so you can just hit balls all day long. But yeah, that's the end goal. Our club as well have got that goal of building something on the ground, possibly. But it's all plans at the minute. It costs a lot of money. But that's the end goal. That I can just work from there continuously.
Yeah, it's a similar situation for us.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think when it comes to anyone working within cricket, the facility is always the thing that kills you, and it's such a funny thing in our sport. We're probably the only sport that train in environments that really have no relevance to the actual thing of which we're training for.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I think the vast majority of coaches. I'm at Exeter Uni, so we've got a.
We're all right.
We've got a purpose built, but even that it's purpose built, but it's still no reference. It's still a net.
Yeah. But I feel like it's a case of just, like I say, finding an area that's sufficient for what you need it for. Yeah. Like I'm in the same position as Karanjit, in that we only have schools round by where we are, and we're limited on stuff like they get out at about 5:30, so we can't start any sessions till 5:30. Then obviously, like you say, for one-to-ones, you need a network of you doing them, so you need to almost have like 5 coaches. Exactly. If you've got 5 lanes, otherwise you're not making a shred of profit. So there are a lot of limiting factors.
Well, I know what you're saying as well, Buzz, because it's like you have to adapt, because every surface is pretty much the same. You train at the same thing. It's like I say, it's not purpose built for playing spin or playing fast bowling. You have to adapt that yourself. I think that, like I say, we're the only sport that really has that.
It's hit me there. It's just like, actually, in terms of the environment, and like you go to different schools have different flooring, and then you roll the mat down, and it's either skidding at ankle height or you're going to get one through at your nose. Yeah. You're like, okay,
there's no middle ground.
We're going to practice here for 3 months. And then what's the first wicket we're going to play on? Oh, wet one. Yeah, we're going to wet.
That's a really significant point, because we do all this work during the winter, and you can all play the short ball by the end of the winter. Yeah, so everyone goes back first ball of the season.
This is what I'm saying. The players have sort of not a negative sense of confidence, but they feel like they're in a good space. But then they're playing out here.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to be able to play those shots. Like some of the youngsters, the bowlers especially, they're bowling really good length and getting pumped through the covers indoors. I'm just like, don't worry.
Yeah,
it is fine.
Outdoors, you'll be flying, mate.
He's got no chance of hitting that through extra cover. He's got absolutely no chance. So it's sort of like one of those things. You've got to keep on top of the players with it, I think.
No, absolutely.
In terms of coaching younger players, that is probably the biggest thing. On a personal level, just trying the reassurance, especially as a spinner. Talking to a young spinner and just saying, no, mate, honestly, that's fine. You're in a good place. It looks great. And he turns around to you like, oh, it's fine, but I can't get pumped over my head. And it's like, I can see where you're coming from, but you got to trust
me. Spinners go the other way, though. Spinners go the other way. So spinners indoors have 25 fielders. So when they get pumped over the head, there's always a fielder there. I've got a man there. What?
The last couple of academy sessions, we did sort of match scenario. So you got to imagine a field in your mind, or you write a field down. And the amount of arguments between the lads, just, oh my God.
Mate, I love those arguments, though.
I can't umpire those games.
You know what? Just forget it. just don't worry about it. So if I say it's out, it's out. That's it.
Yeah, but
I've got these. I makeshift these dice.
All right.
So basically, we'll have on the board different scenarios.
Yeah.
Of which I get the players to roll the dice.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, that comes out as, say, I don't know, like 18 balls, you need 24, and the scenario is between the 27th and 35th over. Yeah. And then we'll also go, oh, that's out. No, that's not out. That's out. That's not out. I will literally say, right, you roll the dice. Odd is out. Even is not out. So they'll roll the dice, and then they go, oh, it's a 3. See you later. Okay. And that's the end of the. But I'll always speak to the batter, and I'll say, do not allow a bowler to come at you and say that's out. You will stand your ground and you will fight your cause. And that I'll make sure every single batter knows that. I'll also then go to the bowler and I'll say, you do not let that batter just stand there. Dude, and I love watching the chaos.
Brand new product coming out, Buzz About Dice. You
can
buy
them.
Sorts out all of these problems.
I mean, if
having marital problems, just roll the dice.
Roll the dice. I mean, if there's a coffee brand called Dice out there,
there we go.
that would be killing two birds. Killing two birds with one stone.
I warned Karen about this before the whole podcast started. That Buzz would find a way to get coffee into this. Please, anyone out there that knows anything about coffee that's got a couple of quid, shut Buzz up for me, please.
Literally a couple of quid, I'll be happy. I'll promote any coffee you want. As long as I get free coffee, happy days.
I'd be buzzing around, if you pardon the pun. Listen, every time I say it, it's about even meaning to. I mention buzzing, and I'm like, Buzz has in a question.
He said it again.
Exactly. He just knows what he's doing. It's marketing genius. But going back to yourself, KSB, you said before that you was part of the Knots Academy.
Yeah.
At what point was it when you was on the pathway where you started to think that it wasn't going to happen? Probably not the best thing to talk about, but I'm interested from your perspective.
At Knots, I think it got to about 17, 18, and I thought, you know what, at Knots, it's not going to happen. Just the way they're set up as a county. I mean, it's changing now, but back then it was more they were promoting, they were signing players. But back then I wasn't the player to go into the team and be scoring runs. I wasn't ready at 17. If I'm not ready at 17, 18 at Knots, then that's it.
I was about to say that from a coaching standpoint.
Yeah.
When you've got players of 15 and 16, that would you classify that as the golden year? That's the golden years, isn't it? For a player to develop, to push, it's got to be, is it not?
Yeah, 15, 16. Yeah, if they're scoring runs heavily at their age group at 15, 16, and they're making that push, and for me, it's a mental thing as well. I wasn't mentally ready to play second. Yeah. I remember going to my first game. I was at Worksop College as well, and we were playing Essex. And Alex Schuder was playing for them. Varun Chopra. They had a real decent team. Graham Napier was playing as well. I'm pretty sure he was playing.
Yeah.
And I was looking around my team, and there was Sami Patel, Paul Franks, Will Jefferson, Bilal Shafayat, and I was like,
me.
I was sat there, and that was Jake Ball's second team game as well. And me and him just sat there like, wow, what is sort of thing? And it got the better of me. I went into bat. I think went into bat 280 for 3, so it was a decent position to go into bat, just have a whack. And I froze. I got out second ball. I think bowled Tom Phillips, left arm spinner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He just went straight through me. Second ball, and I was like, right, okay, wow, this is different. This is different.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think we talk about that 15, 16 age group being so important. I think that's when it shifts, and you mentioned it briefly there, it shifts from how good you are as a player to how mentally strong you are, and how much you want it as well. Like some people will be in that environment you was in where you said that your mind you froze a bit, and some people will go, I deserve to be here, and they have the arrogance. And we've had a discussion before, and I'd be interested to get your point of view on this, Karen, is that how much do you need to be arrogant at that age to be able to make it, a level of arrogance? I
think it's not so much arrogance, it's self-belief. Inside, you've got to have that feeling that, you know what, I belong here.
Yeah.
I'm here for a reason. I've been picked for a reason. And if you have that, then you go out there with a different mindset. You don't look at who's around. You look at the ball. And that's it. That is all you're focused on. Like me, I wasn't I was looking at what was around me. I was like, wow, this is incredible. And I learned my lessons as I went on, but I just didn't quite get that opportunity. I went from Notts to Worcester, had a decent year at Worcester, but again, just didn't happen. Worcester to North, had 2 good years at Northants and then a bad one, and then that was it really. But like I say, I can look back at my career now and think, you know what, I was a decent player, but I wasn't mentally strong enough
You think that makes you a better coach? Yeah,
100%. 100%. 100%. Because if I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't have anything to offer.
Does it give you like a key? Sorry to cut you off there, Dave.
That's all right.
Does it give you a key to maybe see something similar in a player?
Yeah. I have that a lot. I try and see myself in every player, but I sort of see little things here and there that I would like, you know what, when I was playing, I did that, so maybe a tweak here could help benefit them. But yeah, 100% agree. Like
it's interesting because you've actually got to where I think a really good coach when you're in a good place with your coaching is when you understand the many facets to what it takes to make a player successful. And you actually, by experiencing what you experienced, meant you went straight into coaching, thinking about the mental side. And I think for me personally, it's taken me perhaps 3-4 years of, and I'm only 24, so I've got lots of learning to do. But it's taken me a good 3-4 years of understanding just the variety that a coach needs to have to make a player successful. So it's about taking things and to flip them into a positive, I guess.
Like when I look at it, we spoke about the arrogance and the self-belief aspect of a player. There's always that that bridge between taking a player at say 15 or maybe a touch younger, say 14, who's dominating in their age group, and we say, okay, we're going to take that 14-year-old, we're going to put them into an under 16s team. We're going to, then we take that 15-year-old, we take them into an under 18s or the 19s team. I still think they've got to play at their age group as well and feel that dominance and create that self-belief and create that. Do you know what? I am the big fish here.
Yeah.
So when they get into that situation, when they're sat in a somewhat of a bigger pond and they see those big names, they kind of, although there's always going to be that level of intimidation, they have that feeling within that saying, you know what, I've scored. It is just cricket, and the perfect thing you said is just watching the ball.
I think another thing is you feel that you need to get the respect of your teammates as well. You know, people around you. I went in thinking that obviously my first game I got a second ball duck. My first championship game, 3-day game for the second team, I got a duck and 9. So first 2 innings, no runs. And I was looking around, everyone's looking, and I'm thinking, everyone's looking at me thinking, is he going to score a run or what? Like they were all professional cricket. I've known them, I've seen them a long time, but it's different when you're in a game environment because they're looking at you like, you're on the academy for a reason. What, like, you've not scored a run yet? You know, it's little things like that. You want to earn the respect of your teammates, and some people either get it straight away, or some people sort of take a bit of time. And I took too much time, you know. So for me, it's sort of, and another thing with that is if you're a senior player who's been at that top level, it's your job as well to look after that player and make them feel a little bit, you know, you're here because you belong here. So even if they are going through a rough time, it's your sort of responsibility as a senior player to be like, to say, I'm like that now. I'm a captain of Scunthorpe, and obviously not, it's ECB level cricket, but it's, if a youngster comes into our team, I make sure that they feel 100% comfortable. They've got to feel comfortable in their environment, and if they don't, then they buckle.
Well, I think.
Well, very few players will be successful in that environment. If because it's very rare you find a characteristic in someone where they don't need that support. Every player, I believe, needs a level of support. And going back to the point Buzz made just quickly, I think you need a balance, because you don't want to what's the word? Punish a player for being too good at their own age group. But actually, if you leave a player in their own age group for too long and they're dominating consistently, they don't get exposed to any sort of challenge. So it's about having that balance. And like you said, you do feel the need to have to earn the respect of other people. But then I think people are notoriously, especially in that level, I've not experienced it personally, but they're reluctant to give you that because they're all the end goal is so big for everyone. That there's that. Did you notice there was an element of competition within your team?
100%, especially at second team cricket. So there's, I think it's quite famous. It used to be anyway. Second team cricket was the toughest cricket.
I've heard that so much.
Because you're either trying to get a contract, you're coming back from injury, so you want to get into the first team. You've been dropped and you try and get into form. So everyone in that's in competition. I think it's changed a lot now. I think it's more academy players coming through rather than sort of trialists or whatever. But back then, mate, it was, and some of the teams that we played against, just like half the first team was turning up, and it's like you're in a cauldron, really. It's tough. It's very tough cricket.
I don't know what club it was last year, but especially in Div 2, they used 113 different players in their second.
Well, this is something they're saying now, isn't it?
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Well, there's two things come from that. I think they've said now that if you play a minimum of, I think it's 4 games for the two, so something like that, 4 or 5 games, you have to be eligible. You have to be looked at for a contract. You have to be offered a contract, because otherwise, what you'd find was the twos model was completely falling down, because you'd have just bringing up any club player to fill a spot. To sustain. Whereas I think that's maybe why they've had 190 players. They maybe had 190 players because you're literally just taking. You can't get to that 5 game threshold. But it's interesting you say that, because like I say, that what is the purpose of twos cricket? We speak about the game changing now.
Yeah.
You find a lot of counties will have specialist red ball and specialist white ball players.
Yeah.
So actually, when the white ball comps are on, the red ball team for the twos could potentially be virtually a first 11.
Yeah.
Because they're getting match practice.
So the idea of the second team is one, to bring players through and give them experience, and another is to just help the first teamers who are injured or out of form come back into form. So it's, like I say, it's a balance. It's a real balance. Back then it was very tough, and probably before even my time it was tougher, from what I've heard. But recently, what I've heard and seen of twos cricket, it's a little bit different. I mean, my last year at Northants, there was a lot of trialists in that team, and it's really weird because you feel like you're representing Northants, but then you're not, because sort of who's from North.
I see what you mean, because
you know what I mean?
It's a strange,
it's like an
feeling.
changing team.
Yeah.
Then it's not really. I guess you would almost become a trialist in your own head.
Yeah.
If you're in that environment so much, you're going to be like, I'm just one of those guys.
Just one of those. Yeah.
It must be really hard. It must be hard.
It's a tough environment, but you've got to go through it. I mean, I played minor counties cricket as well for Lincolnshire, and then obviously gone to twos cricket. Regardless of where you go, you've got to play twos cricket. You can't just jump from club cricket or minor counties cricket straight to first 11, first class cricket. You've got to play second team cricket. So you have to go through that experience and dominate.
It's that jump, and we say so much. If you're good enough, if you're good enough, you're young enough, or you're good enough, you're old enough, whatever. The famous saying is. The reality is, there's only going to be a few people that can take it, especially at 16, 17, 18. Away from cricket, from a personal thing.
Yeah.
There's a hell of a lot of growing up between 18 to 22 to 22 to 24 to 24 to 30. When you've got a young, talented 17, 18-year-old, and then you've got an experienced, say, 28, 29, 30-year-old, there's a big gap in professional sport. And when you've got that competitive drive, that could seriously do some proper damage.
Yeah,
there is.
For someone who's psychologically not prepared for that level of.
I mean, I kind of went through that. When I realised I wasn't going to make it, I was behind a lot, because in terms of, when you're young, all you know is, I wanted to play cricket or play professional cricket. And when it hits you that you're not going to do it, it's like, wow, okay, so what am I going to do now? This is the thing that I speak to players about now, is that they make sure that they've got something else. They make sure that the be-all and end-all is not cricket. They're playing cricket because they love it and they enjoy it. They work hard with it, and they want to make it their job one day, but you can't pin everything onto it. I think that's something that I've learned through my career, that I pinned everything onto it until I was 24, and it was like, well, shit, what am I going to do now?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to say that, because the point I was going to make, which kind of counters yours a bit, Buzz, is that I think it's best to be exposed to twos cricket from a younger age, because as you get older, you understand what's on the line. You understand it more. You see that this is a pathway to the first team. You see the importance that you put on that. Like, this could be your chance to make as a professional cricketer. When you're young, like I say, some people, it's too early for them. But actually, if you come into it having dominated all your age groups, you are fearless. There is nothing that's going to stop you. You are in an environment where you don't even consider the fact that you're playing with first team, second. To you, you're going in there at the right. Like, some people, that's great, because you can spend 2 years in it, and then before you know it, you're accustomed to that level.
I think it's about how mentally balanced you are as well. I mean, like I say, for me, I wanted it too much, so I went into games like, I've got to get 100 today, without even thinking about how I'm going to go about getting the 100. I was like, I've got to get 100 today. I've got to get a score today. I've got to do this today. And it's like, I look back and think, what were you doing? Like, why did you think like that? Why did you not go out and play your game, what you were good at? This is what I players now. It's like, go and play your game. I'll get kids coming to me now and say, I need to get 100, I need to do this. I'm like, no, you don't need to do anything. Just go out there, have a game plan, back yourself with it, and you'll be fine.
Hashtag base.
Oh, that's it.
Do you know what? This bloke has marketed every catchphrase coming. You can't even make a sentence. Soon you're going to be like, hashtag hello. But no, we've got.
I've got to.
So here's a true story. So I did that first original hashtag, and I got so much people going, "Oh, you spelt that wrong. You're an idiot. You're an idiot." And I was like, just think about it. Just think about it. And they're like, BAC. I was like, yeah, just think about it. Just think, And then there's ABC in there as well. I'm telling you, I'm covering my bases.
But no, going away from the hashtag BAC and back into discussion. I think it's interesting because I think now as coaches, we understand the need to look after players. And like you say, one of the first things you said, Kendrick, was we need to coach the player before coach the person before the player. And I feel like that mentality is completely shifted now. So people know when players are coming up through the age groups and people do play twos cricket, they need that extra support. And I think a coach's role has become more pastoral now. So if you are a head coach, your responsibility goes, how do you get the best out of that player? Is it an arm around them or is it giving them a kick up the arse? And I think...
Well, look
if that was around at your time, it could have been a different story. Potentially, that reassurance.
Psychology, isn't it? It's that sports psychology that's come into the game. It's so at the forefront of everything that we do as coaches now. And almost you could start thinking and looking at actually players who have got maybe weaker physical in terms of their technique. You're actually looking at more a person that, especially at 16, 17, 18, go, actually, this guy's resilient. This guy, I want this guy on my team. We can surround, and I think, Dave and I have spoken openly about this, about balance, and about sometimes you just want someone who's tenacious in your side. And I don't think that was probably looked at as much in the last 10 years as it is now.
Yeah, I think, like you say, it's all, like we just mentioned it, it's all mentally balanced you are as well. You've got to have that. It's not the be all and end all sort of thing. You don't have to want it too much. I think that's the key, and that's where our job now as coaches is completely different to what it was before. I mean, I've seen a lot of coaches that completely, some kids won't last 5 minutes with them these days. It's just it was that brutal.
Yeah.
But now it's like you've got to look after them as a person. You have to. If you look after them as a person, automatically they'll want it more. Automatically their skills will up. It's just, from my experience, I'm still a young coach. I'm still only 29. I've still got a long way to go. But from my experience so far, if you look after the person, the playing side takes care of itself. It really does. And like I say, it's knowing the person as well. I've got a couple of kids who need a kick sometimes, who need...
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Just stern word. And you've got players who need sort of a hug. And it's just working out which ones need what. And I don't think previously in the past, I don't think coaches were really good at that, but now sort of it's a must. With the world that we live in now, it's a must that you have to look at after the mental side of it 100%.
Yeah, you got to break, like you say, the key is balance and the balance behind them as a person and what they respond to as a personality type. If you told Ben Stokes, you tried to put an arm around him and said, mate, you're doing really well, when he's just got out for naught, you're going to get a bat in your face. But in the same way, if you said to someone like...
He's in trouble with that before, calm it down.
But no, if you said to someone who presents as a more reserved character, maybe somebody like an Alistair Cook, you went up to him and went, what sort of shot have you played there? You may never get the chance to give him advice on batting again. So like you say, it's about understanding the person. I'd be interested to know, and same question to both of you as well, to Buzz, if you could play one format, so if you had the opportunity to make it as a professional, but you could only play one format, 100 T20 county champ / test match, or 50 overs, what would it be? If you're going to play one format.
Test match.
Test match?
Test match.
I mean, I'm not even gonna consider the 100 as a format.
we got to ask it as a viable option.
Without watching a game, you can't. I don't know.
It depends if Hula Hoops want to come and sponsor me. I don't know.
Oh, Hula Hoops copies.
I think. Look, I think any cricketer they just want to go to the highest level, and the highest level in our game is Test cricket, is it not? Red ball cricket is proving, and in all the points we're talking about, both physical and mental, the highest level is going to be playing Test cricket. It's representing, your country and putting that shirt on and playing with pride. And for me, this is because you're all for players getting a specific format, aren't you, Dave?
Yeah, completely.
At what age would you say to a player, say you got a 20-year-old who's a decent player, and you as a coach, at that age you're just going to go, look, sorry, John Smith, sorry Johnny, you're not going to play red ball. Just focus on white ball, mate.
No, I wouldn't close any doors for players. I wouldn't be the one to close those doors. I would wait and see how the situation and how things are progressing. At the end of the day, I'm of the belief that the way the game's heading now, the players have to. There's too much difference between each of the formats for someone to be the perfect player for each. And if you've got a young player and you want to give them the best chance of succeeding, then there is no guaranteed formula that will work for them across the board. And if someone has got, like, I would, the only time I would maybe say that is if someone has got a really good red ball technique and has got that mental resilience, and you watch them and you say, do you know what? You are really well suited to red ball, and they're trying to change their game, change what makes them so effective to be a white ball player. That's when I would say to someone, look, go down the route of being a red ball player. Because realistically, there's only a few roles within a test match side or a county championship side that requires you to be a traditional red ball player. Most players, if you're batting from 4 downwards, you could probably do the role of a white ball player in a red ball game anyway, because of how the game's changed. But I would say it, because I've seen it so many times when someone's potentially got a very simple technique and people want to make changes to be able to access loads of different scoring areas. That's the time I would say, look, be a red ball specialist, because that's your best chance of making it as a pro. I don't know what your thoughts are, guys, especially Karen, because
I think it's more about adaptability more than anything. Like someone like Kane Williamson, he's not, and Virat Kohli to an extent, they don't go out there and slog in T20 cricket. They're not power players. They've got really good techniques, but they adapt it to T20 cricket as well. You know, I know I'm talking about the highest of the players, but that's what you've got to look at. I mean, if you do that, then it shows that you can play across all formats if you can be adaptable. Someone like Ben Stokes, for example, like innings that we talk about in the Ashes. I was watching it the other day, and I was actually sending a few Snapchats to my friends, and like he was 7 off 80 balls, and
that's what we were talking about.
Someone run him out. He's boring me, you know. But it's one of those things, like he can do that, and then he can go and play those shots like he's on day 5, where he's just reverse switch it in line into the stands. You know, so it's adaptability, and if you can adapt, then I think every player's goal should be to be adaptable. I think that's the key these days, to be adaptable. So I can go out and play a 3-day or a 4-day, 5-day game, and 2 days later I can go play T20 as well. You know, it's about adaptability, I think. But it gets to a point where you've got to get the most out of your career, and you won't know that unless you've experienced it. I don't think you can say to a player you're only going to be a T20 player at the age of 20 if they've not experienced red ball cricket properly. I think it's really tough. It might happen, but I wouldn't want to.
Cricket's a strange one because you know you don't hit your prime until your late 20s, early 30s in terms of just that, you know, that gamesmanship and that awareness and the experience of who you are as a player. But the reality is, if you haven't made it, like we've already said, if you're not on the books on someone, or at least someone's having a look at you, by the time you're 16, 17, 18, you're really struggling. There'll be a very, very minute percentage of cricketers who actually come through the minor county setup these days. You know, who are scoring regular runs at a league level to go into the minors, to produce in the minors. I still think there's place for minor counties cricket. I still think there's place for, you know, players who are in the twos, who aren't maybe getting a gig, dropping back down to their local minor county, maybe dominating again. I think it's the same formula as what they had when they were 14.
I think for me, sorry, Bob.
No, go on, County, go, mate. You go.
Having played minor counties cricket, I think what they need to do is they need to incorporate more first-class cricket with minor counties cricket. So first-class teams playing against minor county teams, like the competition they used to have. What was it called? Something. I can't remember what the competition was called, but they used to play each other. You know.
They did, and that's when the Unicorns was then put through as well, which I think the Unicorns was a great setup. So how it started was obviously the best minor county players team got a gig, and they played together and then that's when they dropped into I think it was in the second division, and they played in that one cup, which was fantastic. And it was also that bridge between, you know, being a minor counties player and a county, and it's that chance. And I think, if I'm right in saying, Durston was released by Somerset, went into the Unicorns, then got picked up by Derbyshire, and then he got picked up again. Now I think that's a fantastic way of creating younger players who've maybe slipped through the net, and also giving that last ditch attempt, that Hail Mary of a player that hasn't quite performed at their chosen county.
The challenge you've got as well, I think, is that counties are putting an infrastructure together now and in place. They've got talent. They've got pathway performance managers. They've got talent managers they're solely judged on how many players they produce and put into the first team from the county setup. And they rely on funding. The academy funding is granted by how many players they bring through to the first team / how many they go on to represent the country. So for one Zach Crawley going forward, I can only speak for Kent 'cause that's where I'm based. For one Zach Crawley goes on to represent England, the funding will then, from a Kent's perspective, they will then become eligible for more funding because their academies producing these players. So playable from a minor counties now have to be better, significantly better than someone that's in the academy, and that's where the struggle comes.
They have to dominate. They have to I think that's with any cricket. You've got to dominate. So if you want to play for England, you've got to dominate first class cricket.
Yeah.
If you want to play first class cricket, you've got to dominate second 11 cricket. If you want to play second 11, you've got to dominate in minor counties. If you want to play minor county, you've got to dominate a club. You know, it's an effect that keeps going up. Wherever you're playing, you've got to dominate that cricket first and foremost, and then you start looking ahead after that. I've
got a lot of dominating to do. I'm behind the 8 ball.
The world's my oyster.
Still struggling.
Back to my point from before earlier as well about not making it. I think that's another thing. Like, you can't look too far ahead. If you look too far ahead and say, I want to play for England, yeah, okay, you want to play for England. Everyone who plays cricket wants to play for England. But where are you playing right now? That's the most important thing. And then after that, then you can start. Once you've dominated there, you dominate, and then you can think about the end goal.
It all goes back down to the most important ball is the ball you're about to face.
It really got there first.
It really is, isn't it?
Reference to the test. Shout out Adam Gilchrist.
Did he say that?
Yeah, he said forget about everything when you're out there playing. Just focus on that next ball. That's the most important ball you're going to face. And that's obviously we talk about as a batter, but then as a bowler, the next ball you're going to bowl is the most important ball you're going to. For me, it's
changing room. He did, yeah.
He wrote it. They wrote it on the board.
Yeah.
I remember that. That stuck in my mind. The test. What a series, by the way. What a series, for you guys. It was fantastic. I wish there was more stuff like that. Like I love because there's a Mumbai Indian ones, isn't there, on Netflix?
Yeah, really good.
Fascinating.
Well, the test is just incredible because you get to see it from mainly Justin Langer's. So as a coach, you mainly get to see it from Justin Langer's point, and it's just like we were talking about earlier about looking after the person, being good people. You know how he's turned Australian cricket around to where it is now from where it was is just. It's not so down to him. It's obviously down to a few factors, but he was the main driving point of that.
It's the focal head, isn't it? It's the person at the top of the tree that says this is the way we're going to do it. The test taught me two things. One, my wife now fancies JL, which is just barbaric. But it's also shows you that, you know, obviously the biggest rivalry for us in cricket is going to be England versus Australia. It's going to be the Ashes, and you knew the result, you knew the outcome, you knew that at the time it was the most frustrating, most annoying thing that they'd won. But during that entire series, because of the philosophy that Justin Langer had put in and the support system that was there, you were rooting for your rival. You were
Oh, absolutely. It was the weirdest feeling.
It was so bizarre.
I don't think there's ever been a likeable Australian team like that. Obviously, we liked them as players when the Steve Waugh, Ricky Ponting area, but as in terms of how they approached their cricket, they were really likeable. You know,
it was designed around that. Let's not forget the reason why this series was created was for
to shine them in a good night.
Yeah,
to try
and exactly.
But also, what I was most impressed with was the personal development of Justin Langer and Tim Payne through the whole series. Yeah. So like you see how he is at the start, and Langer's this lovely bloke wanting to be mates with everyone, and he's coming in like guys have got to be together, arm around the shoulder. And by the end, he's telling some home truths and he's swearing, and you just see how his journey. Through and every coach has had that. I think going back to where we start to where we end up as a coach we go on a journey to reach a point where we're happy with what we're doing, and then once we're happy, we go again. Do you know what I mean?
My favourite thing was the counterbalance between how Justin Langer would speak, and then when Ricky Ponting came in, how he was so blunt, and he could almost deal with the Warner and the Usman Khawaja, and you had that sort of that feeling and that relationship, and then. When Steve Waugh comes in, Langer turns into this 15-year-old kid again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and you're like, oh my, it's such a refreshing feeling from a coaching point of view. Like, oh my God, if someone like him, if it's happening to him, it's okay when Toby Radford's giving me a batting masterclass. I can go, oh my God, I do that.
Yeah.
Well, as a coach, you can't think you know everything.
Oh,
you can't think you know it all, or you know you've got the main thing to make it as a friend. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to have people around you, a support network around you, help you along the way. I mean, that's what that shows as well. Like Langer had so many amazing people around him that helped and pushed it. That's what you need. Even us as sort of coaches of our own business, we need the same. So we get people in. So I mean, you get professional cricketers in, we all get professional cricketers in to help out, or someone just gives a bit of advice and experience. It's important, that you can't go out there and think I know everything. So
you need that foil to allow you to develop self-awareness. Like I think the biggest trait a coach can have is that level of self-awareness. Because what's always been thrown at coaches is the fact that a lot of coaches talk too much, and we're all guilty of it. I don't know. I've never met a good coach that doesn't talk too much. But the best coaches that are self-aware, they know how to use their words, when to talk, and how to use their words. Yeah. And I think there's a time for you to sit and have, like we're having now, thorough conversations. I think one of the things that's not often overlooked, and I sort of joke about it as it's the biggest penis industry, is that people say, well, I know everything. No, I'm not going to listen to your point because I know this. And it's like we're trying to prove ourselves. You have a conversation and I'm going to try and prove how much I know about cricket by trying to one-up you. And actually, this is a case of just sitting here and having a conversation. And people just finding out things and being open to learning. It's a bit, I know the word growth mindset thrown around a lot.
Being open to learning. You've got to be open to learn. And it's the same as playing. You've got to be adaptable. You've got to be adaptable for different situations as a coach. I mean, how
can I say to a player, I want you to learn from this session if I'm not going to be equally open to learning from that player? Like, It's a two-way experience. And when it's interesting, when you tell a child that you're coaching that, when you say to them, look, I'm learning just as much from this session as you are, their response is like, what? Well, you're meant to know everything. Yeah. But then most people will go, well, people that know what it's about, that's a good coach because you're able to have that open and frank conversation.
Yeah.
But you've also got to find where people come in, and if they are so closed off, if you're a player that's played at a specific level, and you may have been coached in a particular way, that's going to affect how you coach yourself. Mm-hmm. So for every advantage, and there's always that debate of do you need, or do you have to have played at a specific level to be a good coach? Now, there's definitely some advantages, of playing at a higher level, and I think from a coach's standpoint that hasn't played at the highest level, I would be naive and I'd be wrong to say, oh no, you don't need to, because I think there's going to be more advantages than not in terms of the experience. Because let's be honest with you, experience is something that can't be taught. It is
it's respect. For me, the key word is respect. You have if you walk into a room and you're being coached by someone who you've seen do it before, automatically, without them even saying a word, you're going to listen to them.
You're going to listen.
If you walk in and see someone that goes, well, I've had this probably more than anyone, but being 24 and being in a performance environment, I get a lot of times I'm coaching with people that have played for England, people that have played hundreds of games for Kent, and automatically they wouldn't even I could say exactly the same thing as someone else, and until I've worked with that player for a while to them to understand how I am, they will automatically think, right, he knows more than him, just because of the fact. And but I'm not saying that may well be the case.
It's human nature first and foremost. I don't think there's no malice within that. It's just the fact that if I'm doing a batting session and a level 4 comes in who's played representative cricket, you're going to listen to that person because and the beauty thing is I'm going to shut up and I'm going to listen because I'm probably going to learn something as well, and that's the reality. But on the flip side as well, when you haven't played at a specific level, you get an insight into a player's psyche that is somewhat different, because I think when you've got such a talented player, the adversity that individual may or may not have gone through is going to be definitely different to that 17-year-old kid that's struggling to score runs. That 17-year-old kid sat in the change room looking around, looking at the personalities, looking at the names, maybe thinking, what am I doing here? Why am I shouldn't be here. I should just be back down in my club level. But well, that's the point where a coach that maybe hasn't played that level goes, you're right. You should be here. It's your time. Let's do this. And that feeling of togetherness and I'm a huge believer in that. When you've got a squad of players that are believing in the one outcome, in the one cause, which has to be around a competition. In my personal opinion, as a coach, you've got to be there to compete. You've got to be wanting the same success. But that development and how you win and how you succeed, That if you've got 16 people who are all buying into that, you've got a hell of a squad. It doesn't matter how good the individual is. You might have some better individuals, but if they're out there for themselves, that can be that's a whole different battle.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I would say I've got a question for you guys, and this is really interesting. I was having this conversation yesterday. What do you think to coaches having an ego?
Oh.
It's a hard question to answer because I feel like to be a good coach, you have to have an ego of sorts. It's an ability to control it.
Again, it's coming back to playing, having self-belief. So when you're talking, you've got to, or if you're coaching, you've got to believe what you're saying. You can't. I mean, me growing up as a younger coach, there was times where I was like, I've said something to the player. I was probably at 21, 22. I've said to the player, I'm thinking, I don't even believe that myself. So now, like, you grow up and you get to 29, you're thinking, before, like, again, it's like what you said about knowing when to speak and what to say. It's about choosing the right moment. And then if you've got that self-belief to choose the right moment, then I think that's the main thing, really. I don't think you necessarily need an ego. I think it's just believing in what you're doing and what your philosophy is about. And
I think this is where it fit. Like doing social media. The one thing that's taught me is people think social media is put there to enhance or to inflate an ego. To almost to go out and there's people on social media and there's coaches out there that do use that tool and the platforms that are out there to promote themselves and their knowledge. But the reality is, if you're able to coach something and if you're able to say something and stick behind what you say, and like you just said, that you believe in what you've just said, and that you have faith that actually there is no detriment to the words of which that I'm putting on towards you, then I don't think there's an issue with that. And an ego can be looked at so many different ways. An ego to me is simply something that gives you the capability or the confidence to be able to stand in front of 16 potential strangers who don't respect you as a cricket coach and say that and go, do you know what? This is who I am. This is what I'm about.
This is what I believe in.
Yeah, this is what I believe in. And if you don't believe that, then I truly, exactly, challenge me. Because I'm backing my ability. I've actually refrained from using my own slogan.
Backing my ability.
But I'm actually, exactly. That's for me. That is what your ego is about. That is the self reassurance that you have to have within yourself as a person to become a decent coach.
For me, what you just said there is having that inner self belief and that reassurance that you believe in what you're doing. That's massive.
But I also feel like I completely agree with what both of you said there. For me, the first thing I've done since I've been a head coach is to try and get in an environment where you get challenged straight away. So I'll sit with a squad and put an idea out there and say, challenge me on it. Don't be afraid, because in order to build that team cohesion, build that trust, to get your true point across and to understand, but to properly believe in what you're promoting and what you're saying, I think if you get in that environment and you say to people, right, challenge me. If you've got any different opinions, just get them out on the table.
You guys spoke about this the other day, didn't you? About the most enjoyable sessions you have are when you have that back and forth with the player.
Oh, completely.
It's 100% true. If you have that you don't want to play just stand there nodding.
Yes, sir. No, sir.
That's what I did. That's what I did as a player.
It's interesting when you have that though. When you challenge someone and they go, no, I don't do it like that. It's a fantastic position to be in as a coach to go, okay, why?
Yeah.
So can you elaborate? Because the only time I ever get stats out as a coach is when I'm trying to influence a player to maybe look at their game in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
And for a batting perspective, maybe that they'll say, oh, this is how I bat. This is why I bat. That's the only time I'll go, okay, let's go and have a look at your stats.
Yeah.
Why did your top score was 92 last year? Well batted, but you're batting number 3. Why are you only averaging 24?
Yeah.
Maybe this is because it's time to maybe look at, rather than this is how I do it, maybe trying something else. Do you know what I mean?
That goes to that. Yeah, it's at the end of the process when you've tried other things, you've tried to go down the route of how do you feel. Is that thought process working for you? And if the above 2 aren't right for whatever reason, you normally change it there. But if the above 2, if it does feel right and it is the right thought process, but you can tell that they're not something's failing, then that's when you go to the stats.
As a coach, when you step into a new environment with a new set of players, and take an example from the university, you walk in and you've got a group of potentially, I could have a group of anywhere between 12 to 30 lads, stood in front of me, looking at me. You have to, number one, express to them, straight away, like, all I want to do is make you better. That's all. Like, literally, I'm here to try and make you a better cricketer. If I can come across and make you a better person at the same time, I'm ticking a lot of boxes. I'll be over the moon with that. So please don't think if I'm coming at you that I'm attacking you. I think a lot of people with fragile egos, and maybe that have been told from their backgrounds, oh my God, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing. And then someone like me comes on and goes, you averaged 18 last year and you bat 5, bruv. You ain't amazing. Something needs to change.
But that's a serious issue. That's a serious issue. It's gone on for ages. I'll remain nameless this year, but I've had people that when I've told them they've not been selected for a squad, they said, well, my teacher said I should be in the squad. I said, well, let's be perfectly frank here.
I think
your teacher's not picking but this is a serious problem. People inflate players' expectations so much.
I think it's being realistic with the players as well. I think if you be true to yourself about it, then you don't feel anything else. But apart from saying this is how it is and being realistic with them, if you try and give them a false sense of security in a way, then that's what you.
It's what you said earlier. When you're willing to coach the person first before the player.
Yeah.
When you've built that rapport, when you've built that connection with an individual, I think you're then able to be a little bit more, not cutthroat, but you're a little bit more to the point about their performance, about their development, and about their growth. And you can say, look, I'm sorry, the reason why you went away for 3 weeks and you did not work hard enough on this one specific thing, and now we're behind the 8 ball, now we're struggling, and now this is where we're at. No one wants to have those conversations. And again, it goes back to the ego of a coach. Some coaches thrive on that. And I despise those people.
Oh,
they
manufacture a situation to allow themselves to outlet in that way.
To alpha it. Let's face it. They love
because they want to prove they know what they want to. Absolutely. And I'm aware of the time, so there's 2 questions that I've got for you, Karen, I'm really interested in. First of all, what direction and what's the future for KSB Cricket Coaching for you in an ideal scenario?
For me, for KSB is to basically remain how it is, to be honest, and just keep building with the players that I've got and getting hopefully some more players in the area to come in. But there's not really, I don't have too much of a forward thinking plan because that's something that I've learned not to do. Because if I do that, it puts me in a bad place. So I'd rather just go step by step. Like no one expected what's happening right now where we've got no coaching whatsoever. So it's a case of sort of adapting as you go. So there's no real sort of forward thinking plan. It's more of just keep going, keep working with the players that I've got, hopefully produce a couple of gems if I can. Or if we can, I've got a couple of coaches that work with the academy as well. So if we can, but it's just trying to make people the best they can be, either as people or as cricketers. That is literally it. Whoever comes to the academy, I want to make sure that they have a good experience and they leave a better person and a better cricketer. If we've done that, then I'm happy.
It's fantastic. That is why you should go and check out KSB for that exact reason. Fantastic. And the final thing from me, I would say, what is there one bit of advice you were given either around coaching or around playing that just stuck with you? And what was that? What was the best bit of advice you've ever received?
I think I've said it. Don't look too far ahead. Remain like balanced. If you look and start looking too far ahead, you're gonna get yourself into a bit of trouble. So I would just stay in the moment, take each day as it comes, work hard, and whatever happens. Because if you start looking too far ahead, you like I said, from my own experience, you're in trouble. I got a really good one off. I spoke to Virat Kohli once, which was an unbelievable conversation. It was 40 minutes we ended up speaking for. And I kept getting out in the 30s at this point. And I said, I keep getting out in the 30s, I don't know what to do. He just looked at me and goes, you got 30? I was like, yeah. He goes, so you're good enough to get 60? You're going to have to get 90? You're going to have to get 120? I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, you've got 30, So you must be doing something right to get 30. So just carry on. Why are you doing anything different? Why are you thinking about it? He said it'll come. He said the more simple you keep it, the more chance you've got of succeeding. He said if you go out and try and do something different, it won't work. And it shows with his cricket how simple he keeps it.
Yeah.
Because he keeps it so simple, he's so good. I mean, that's them two. I think if you try and work with those, then you'll be as successful as you can, I think.
That's fantastic. Do you know what? I asked that question thinking we might get an okay answer, but that was unbelievable. Honestly, as stupid as it sounds, I'm not just saying this for effect. The first point really resonates with me, and there's a lot that I could take from that. And this is, without boring, this is why Buzz and I got into this venture, to try and learn. These podcasts are a great opportunity for us to be able to, one, create something for the audience to get them through this time, be able to engage with a wider pool of people like yourself, but also so we can learn, and I can say I've learned so much from today. So thank you so much for making the time. I appreciate it.
What you guys are doing is brilliant. I'll keep watching, I'll keep supporting, keep asking.
Mate, the legitimate questions that you send are probably the actual.
It holds us together. Rather than saying, "Sir, please give us a shout out. Please say my name, sir."
I enjoyed the Ashwin one the other day. That made me laugh. When she searched his hundreds, I knew, because obviously I'm Indian background. A lot of Indian cricket, so I knew exactly who he's got his 100 against.
Yeah.
From memory, I was thinking, I know he's got 2 or 3 against West Indies. I knew that was coming. I was like, yeah, he's not an all-rounder, but I'm just going to chuck this in there anyway.
If there's one thing you can rely on Buzz and I for is somewhat outrageous opinions, and that's something that you will continue to get from this podcast, and probably quite ill-informed opinions. And when someone comes along that knows a bit more than us,
they
will absolutely
off the cuff, on the heart.
Like I said, I've really enjoyed it so far. I'll continue to watch it. I'll try and get more of my academy players to watch it as well. Try and get them involved because they love stuff like this. We've actually set up a WhatsApp group as well, and we're having some back and forth banter in that, which has been really good. They've been sending videos of them doing their fitness work and work in the garden, it's been brilliant. I mean, that's when you receive some stuff like that, it makes you feel really good.
You're doing the right things if that happens.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And Dave's already touched on it. This time isn't about anything other than just realizing we should have been doing. Well, for me on a personal level, I should have been doing this before. I should have been connecting with other people before. I should have been willing to put myself out there and go, do you know what? Let's just talk about this and that and learn and you learn about different people, get different connections, philosophies, and hopefully there's going to be hashtag all 17 people. There's going to be people listening to this that can kind of relate to it.
It resonates with certain people.
Yeah, I hope so.
At the end of the day, we're a community in that we're all trying to do the same things. We're all trying to deliver cricket for people and help make you better. And actually bringing that community together is something Buzz did right at the start of this whole period. And actually it's allowing us to enjoy it. Actually, for me, I'm enjoying this period because I'm learning, developing, and branching out of my network, which has been fantastic. But guys, once again, go and if you don't already, follow KSB Cricket Coaching on Instagram. Absolutely worthwhile. Some fantastic content on there. Some of the back foot drives are incredible. I watched that on repeat. Have you got any other channels, Karanjit, you wanted to?
I've got Twitter. I've just joined.
Oh, you've got YouTube, haven't you, as well? Yeah.
Just joined it. It's something that it's very new to me. So it take a bit, bear with me with that. It'll take a bit of time. Yeah. It's something I really want to do, but I thought I've got a bit of time now, so I'll just chuck a few videos on there and see what happens. So it's very new, but let's see what happens with it, really.
So guys, to all of our 17 subscribers and to all 17 people that are watching this, head over. We can get the target is to get 17 new subscribers to KSB Cricket Coaching on YouTube. That's our target. If we can do that, we'll be happy. That's a successful day.
It should be. We'll be all right doing that.
But Buzz, thank you very much, mate, as always. Only episode 5, but feels like we've been about 200 episodes in now. But guys, thank you so much for watching again. To the guys that watched throughout, for the guys that watched for 5 minutes, thank you for joining for that. However long it was.
And for feedback and things like that, comments below, or boundary2boundary@hotmail.com if you want to stick anything a little bit more private, a little bit more in depth, and topics for us to go through. And obviously that's probably the best place for the best place for any coffee endorsements or anything like that.
wouldn't be a podcast without another mention of coffee. And I'm sure Buzz will get a bit of coffee in a minute. But guys,
we need to get him his coffee endorsement. That's what we need.
that's the dream.
Absolutely. But guys, as always, like, share, subscribe. Check out for all our latest stuff on Instagram as well. And we'll be back in the next couple of days with a brand new podcast. Thanks again, mate. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.